You're live. Okay. You're live.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. It's approximately 1 p.m. I am Mayor Eric Enriquez. Before we start, I want to mention that we have the American Sign Language up in front if anyone needs that interpretation services. We'll start, if you can all stand, please, for a moment of silence for the brave men and women of our military services, our public safety that protect our city 24/7, 365. Councilor McClure, if you'll lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And or. Stand for vote.
Next on the agenda is our presentations. I'm going to ask everyone to please, if you can just lower your voice, keep your comments. This is a place where we want to have a good council meeting and not be unruly or disrespectful. Well, we have a special guest today. I'd like to ask him to come up and join me, our superintendent of Las Cruces Public Schools, Ignacio Ruiz. So we have been celebrating the ways the city employees show cariño. But we know that cariño is more than a city theme. It is part of the character of Las Cruces. We're excited to launch this partnership with Superintendent Ruiz and the Las Cruces Public Schools so we can recognize students that are showing cariño and making the learning environment a place where everyone thrives. With that, I'd like to share this video that launches the Thrive with Cariño program. So if we can show the video. This year, the Las Cruces Public Schools vision, Thrive, is joining forces with the City of Las Cruces Cariño initiative to honor and support the next generation. Together, we are all celebrating our youth as they thrive with Cariño.
The partnership between Thrive and the city came about in conversations with Mayor Eric Enriquez and really talking about our goals as a district and how we wanted our kids to thrive. And as I heard more about the Cariño campaign, it really aligned and made perfect sense for an opportunity for our kids to also show Cariño through thriving within our district, things such as caring, compassion.
The kids in our community, they're our future. And if they learn early on that to thrive and to do it with cariño is very valuable as they grow up, whether they're in the classroom, in the playgrounds, at home, or in the community.
The way we will be recognizing our students is, first of all, keeping an eye on some of those great things that our kids do, right? I had a story of a student always walking her siblings to class, making sure that they got there every single morning before going to school herself. And that to me shows cariño. So we'll be recognizing them with a t-shirt, with a certificate.
For those students that are recognized by the school, but will also be recognized by the city. I think it's beneficial for the students because they realize that there's more than just attending school, that there is a community, but it also adds that love and affection and caring that we all need to be a thriving and happy community.
Now, this is going to be a great partnership and a great thing for our community and for our youth in this community, as well as the employees and everyone that works with the organization of the City of Las Cruces. Really looking forward to, as we say, adelante con cariño. And we can't wait to hear the stories of the young people making a difference in their schools and in Las Cruces. So with that, I'll ask the superintendent if he has any words he'd like to share.
Thank you, Mayor Enriquez, and I echo everything that the mayor just mentioned, and just appreciative of the mayor, city council, city manager, all of the team in this collaboration and this partnership. Just a great opportunity to recognize our kiddos, the great things that they're doing. You know, as a school district here in Las Cruces Public Schools, our goal is to ensure that not only are our kiddos that they are well prepared in not only academics, but also in those social emotional pieces that are so important to ensure that we have well-rounded students and that are active members and positive members of the community. So to me, this is going to be a great partnership to ensure that we are doing that we're supporting our kids and then recognizing the great things that are happening. So thank you again, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity.
If I could ask council to come and join us so we can take a photo. I think you all have your T-shirts there. Yes, bring. Did you get yours?
Very nice.
Next on the agenda, we have Jobs of the Week. Sarah Rainey.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Sarah Rainey. I am the one-stop coordinator for the Southwest region of the New Mexico workforce, which actually I also need to announce that they are changing the name to the American Job Centers to be a more cohesive unit with the rest of the nation as well. So more on that will come, but we'll do a presentation on that for you guys as well. For Jobs of the Week for January 21st, 2025, we have a teen outreach specialist for the city of Las Cruces. That position starts at $21.95 an hour, and the posting closes on the 10th. We also have a meals delivery driver. It's a contract position for the city. It starts at $15.02 an hour. Whoops. Sorry. We have a technical writer for American Systems. That one's at White Sands Missile Range, and it starts at $30 an hour. We have a campus store manager at Follett Higher Education Group, Inc. on the NMSU campus. That one starts at $54,000 a year, and the posting closes on the 12th of February. We have several positions with Alpha and Sierra Construction. They have sheetrocker positions open, as well as some other positions, starting at $15 to $16 an hour, and the posting closes on the 13th. We have a helper for the railroad for Suncoast Resources Incorporated. That starts at $27,000 a year, and the posting closes on the 8th of February. Sorry, I don't want to say January. Also, just a quick reminder that the office on Alameda is now only open from 8 to 5 p.m. We are open through the lunch hours, so feel free to come in during that 12 to 1 hour as well. So from 8 to 5 p.m., we're there for all career needs. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sarah. Next is Pet of the Weeks. Carol?
Good afternoon. I'm Carol Nilsson with the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. I am the digital content specialist. Just as a reminder, our Pets of the Week are available at no cost during the week that they are promoted. If you are interested in adopting an animal currently in a foster home, please contact the center for a meet and greet before coming to the center. And all long-term residents who have been at the center for 3+ months are available at a reduced cost for $25. And so we have pretty good news that our cat intakes have been so low lately that we actually don't have a cat of the week because we currently have no adoptable cats. So pretty good problem for us to have. So this week our dog of the week is Baby Girl. Her number is 59995 if you want to look her up on our website. I am a sweet and spirited girl who spends my time at the shelter in 2 favorite modes, running around happily with my handler and enjoying my quiet time. I'm polite and gentle, taking treats with the utmost care. While I'm learning how to share space and interact with other animals, I am all love when it comes to people. I have a calm yet playful nature, makes me an ideal companion for a home where I can continue to grow and build confidence while forming a bond with my humans. And to just highlight some of our longer term residents that we would love to see get adopted as well, and again, $25 adoption fee. We have Dora, who has unfortunately been at our center for over a year now at 376 days. Alice has been at our center for 229 days. Mabel, 225 days, and Luna, 220 days. So yeah, would really love to see them leave the center so they can thrive in a home. And this coming weekend, we're going to be at Petco from 10 to 1, so it's always a good time to come to those events because you can get supplies along with Adopt a New Friend. Upcoming event, we have our drive-through vaccination clinic, which is a good time to get low cost and free services. We'll be there February 2nd from 9 to 1 at the Field of Dreams parking lot. And as always, you can look at our website for more information and also find us on social media. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Congress.
Next is a conflict of interest. Does any member of the city council, city manager, or member of the city staff have any known conflict of interest with any item on the agenda?
None, Graham. None, McClure.
None.
Next is public participation, and we'll have Katrina up here in the front, ushering you up to the podium. You all have 3 minutes, no pending litigation or items on the non-consent to be discussed.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Lucas Herndon. I'm a resident of District 2. I have spoken before you many times, but today feels especially hard and dire. Our community has always been special and close. A part of what I love about living here and raising my daughter here is the sense that no matter where I go, it's likely we'll run into a friend or a neighbor. But the larger existential threats we face now under the current federal administration are based on dividing this community and thousands of, if not millions, just like it around the country. When the current president took office in 2017, my daughter, then in elementary school, was the day after the inauguration, many students weren't at school. Those kids and their families had heard about potential raids by the militarized forces of ICE and Border Patrol. This week, she brought that up to me, and then just yesterday, during the inauguration, she brought up that as a high school student, she was dealing with a potential loss of a friend whose family is seriously considering moving because of the president's threats towards queer and gender nonconforming people. Additionally, someone I love is affected by proposed changes to federal rules about names and gender identities on official documents. These actions aren't about uniting us as a people, but rather driving wedges between us. If we are divided, we are easier to control, easier to manipulate. I'm here today to ask this council to remember your commitment to community the next few years, to a constitution supposedly derived to ensure life, liberty, and happiness to all without prejudice or proof of birthplace or name. The Las Cruces I know is inclusive, not divisive. Please work for that.
Mayor and councilors, I'm Elizabeth Joanne Gutierrez, and I live in Las Cruces. I think we all know the animosity that Donald Trump has towards immigrants, and we got to see the start of that yesterday. And I'm here to ask the councilors and the mayor what our city is prepared to do when our friends and neighbors are getting rounded up, when the people who have built our homes, who cook our food, who take care of our children, who take care of our elderly, who clean our homes, are at risk. And I think I want to know, as a citizen of Las Cruces, a proud citizen of Las Cruces, I've lived here since 1973, and have great faith in our city government, always have. And I want to know what we're prepared to do to protect people who have lived here probably as long as I have. Thank you.
I'm Earl Nissen, and I live in Las Cruces. For the past 6 weeks, I've been accompanying a Mrs. Yolanda Diaz to many appointments to discuss the turnaway of patients at Memorial Hospital. This included visits to the acting director of Memorial, the chairman of the board of directors of the hospital. Excuse me, I had some medication from all these visits, we gained the fact that there's been a lot of confusion between employees who are doing the admissions of patients. The primary group that's had some problem are the indigent. So we met with Jamie Michaels, and she's going to prepare in-service for these employees so that uniform qualifications are being looked at for anybody walking into Memorial. In one of the meetings, Mr. Knox, who is the acting director now, said there would be nobody turned away during his watch. 2 weeks later, a woman was turned away, and she found Mrs. Diaz, who helped her get registered for cancer care at Memorial. So we are still apparently having some problems of turnaways that we don't know about. So the point being that the leadership of the hospital should be doing more with employees about making sure that everything is done right with the admissions. In all our researching the problems, we want to make it very clear that no nurse or doctor caused any of these problems. Nurses are feeling really bad about having their hospital number 5 in the worst egregious things in the United States. I don't know if any of you saw that article.
Sir, your time is up.
Okay,
Thank you.
Robert Lee Butler, B-U-T-L-E-R, Las Cruces. Honorable Mayor, may I address your sitting council, distinguished city council, board. All right. Bill Matisse, you have my vote. Mr. Torrey, NASA, he's going to the moon. Elon Musk has a death wish. All righty, I'm going to start with my introduction, and I'm going to have the body, and we'll end up with a positive note, I promise. Now, you all are doing a good job. The best people in Las Cruces are at City Hall. Oh, it's so nice to come here. But Mayor, you made me laugh. I've been on never for a week now. Bill, he has a son who, no nonsense. He has 3 presidents in the Oval Office. So did you, Emily? Where's Yvonne? She's very popular, but she pleads the 5th. All right, now I'm gonna go to the body. The wedding will be at University Community Church. The reception will be at the convention center. Oh, it's so nice there. Thank Candy Magahima for that, please. We're going to have 15 plus people. No gifts are required. I love Jeny Lopez. I'm talking to Sandberg today. Number closed. We have a lot to celebrate in our city. The patent, you have the patent, I have the copyright. The trash can, 55-gallon human waste. Every 10 gallon for recycle, a big basket for trash. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Molina, and I'm here with Mesilla Valley Public Housing Authority. I have made copies for the counselors. This is just a notice. In case any of you don't know or haven't heard, our executive director submitted his resignation, and his last day will be February 20th. So we're in the process right now of putting out a job position for somebody to be our next leader. As all of you know, housing is a big crisis here, and this is a really big position to fill. We are putting together a community advisory committee We have somebody, one of the county commissioners on it. We'd like to invite one of you to be in on it to help us with the interviews. And then we also have Nicole Martinez from the Community of Hope and a couple of other people as well. I've never done this before. This is a really big deal, getting our next executive director to make much needed changes, and somebody preferably with grassroots. So this is just kind of an information thing that I had sent out to the mayor, and just letting you know, my card's there. If you have any questions or you'd like to sit on the committee with us, we would really welcome a representative from the city office. There's a couple of typos, I'm sorry. If we could go back to landlines and typewriters, I would gladly do so. A little bit challenged there. But yeah, so do you have any questions? Or we have put out the job description and we've just gotten a very, very small response. Like less than 6 people, and half of them are right away no. So if we could get it out, we'd like your help. Any questions? Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. I'm Amy McCarty. I'm the Executive Director of the Las Cruces Public Schools Foundation. So it's kind of funny that we're here today as you recognize the superintendent and the collaboration with the city. But our main focus, we're a nonprofit organization led by a group of community volunteers as a board. And our goal is to support teachers and students of the district through grants and scholarships. We also have a big fundraiser coming up, of which we definitely appreciate the city's collaboration. Mayor Enriquez was the winner of our Golden Tortilla Rolling Contest last year. Yay. He will award or crown our new winner after our event on February 7th. And 2 additional rollers that we have this year are Chief Story and Chief Smith. So thank you all for what you do, and thank you for supporting our foundation. I left brochures to explain a little more about what our foundation does, as well as invitations to our event. So we hope that you'll consider joining us. This is Eric Pfeiffer. He's our board president. Brandy Arguello is in the audience. She's a board member, and I'm not sure if there's any board members here, but thank you all for what you do.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Abigail Saluk-Sugan, and I have been a constituent in Las Cruces ever since my family and I immigrated to America. From the 17 years I've lived in this community, I have made so many memories, from experiencing the cold for the first time, still not a fan of it, to watching my mom become a U.S. citizen at the convention center, to receiving my undergraduate at NMSU, to now continuing my education as a counselor. I chose the path of counseling for many reasons, one of which to advocate for the marginalized and the oppressed, to advocate for those whose voices are either not being heard, ignored, and to advocate for those who are not able to advocate for themselves, and I hope to do that here. I ask of you, Council, to please do the same and to protect and serve everyone in our community, to not abide by the anti-immigrant, racist, anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ+, anti-healthcare to all, anti-family, anti-human rhetoric that's increasingly heightened in the administration that would affect me, my friends, family, and the community. I ask that everyone in our community is able to live the life they rightfully deserve, just as my mom has, just as I have. Let's focus on what's actually important in our community: affordable housing, healthcare services, climate justice, infrastructure, workforce development, education, and so many other programs for the well-being that New Mexico so desperately needs. While I'm up here advocating for those who are not able to, I would like to amplify the voices of Palestinians who are being murdered by our tax dollars, even after the ceasefire has taken place. I would like to take this time to read a poem by Noor al-Din Hajjaj, a Palestinian poet who was killed by an Israeli airstrike at his home. I am not a number, and I do not consent to my death being passing news. Say too that I love life, happiness, freedom, children's laughter, the sea, coffee, writing, Feiruz, everything that is joyful, though these things will all disappear in the space of a moment. Thank you for your time, Council. Free Palestine.
Hello, Mayor Enriquez, City Council. My name is Giovanni Sebastian Hernandez. I am the Southern New Mexico Base Building Manager for the New Mexico Dream Team, the state's largest youth-led immigrant advocacy organization, and I'd like to share some words with you. I live and work in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I don't need to restate or overstate the event that occurred yesterday with the inauguration of President Trump. Instead, I'd like to share how these far-right policies would and will affect my family and my friends. In terms of immigration, my family are immigrants. My friends are immigrants. Many of them are undocumented or mixed status families like mine. When I think of the executive orders that were signed yesterday by Donald Trump, encouraging mass deportations, threatening sanctuary cities, and harming our communities who live here, I cry. In terms of the anti-queer agenda, many of my best friends are queer, non-binary, transgender, and I am proud to call them my friends, and I work every day to make sure that they feel safe in my presence and in my community. Those friendships and their very lives are at stake under this administration. In terms of the border, I have family who live on both sides of the border, in Juarez, in El Paso, up and down the Mesilla Valley, in Sunland Park, in Anthony, and into Las Cruces. Already, I hear that the border is closed in El Paso and that people are unable to travel. How will I see my cousins? How will I see my great uncles? How will I see my dad's brother who is currently in the hospital and will die soon? I want my city council to know that I stand against mass deportation, against queer discrimination. The values of a fascist Trump administration are not our values, and they're not the values of the city or of the city council as I know it to be. I'll tell you, Mayor and City Council members, that this community is activated. We are organized. We crave bold action that is rooted in community defense and community care. We are ready to support a City Council that has those same values. I ask that you develop creative solutions and bravery as our elected officials to do what you can and what you must to keep our city values. Work with us, and we will work with you. The progressive left is organized and ready to fight back against far-right elements in Las Cruces and in New Mexico. We're your voice here in the public, and you're our voice in city government. Thank you very much.
Hello, councilors. I'm Hannah Hurd. I am a constituent of Las Cruces. I'd like to use my time today to speak about just the safety of myself, my friends, and everybody in Las Cruces, everybody in the United States who are facing large threats currently and have been upscaled in the recent years, especially now after the inauguration. I feel that it's very important for all of you to uphold your duties as it is your duty as our voice to protect us and those who do not have a voice from the harmful policies that are going to be put in place and already have been put in place. It is extremely scary. I have been scared to get up the last 2 days. I have many queer friends, many undocumented friends, immigrant friends, and I am worried constantly, and that is only going to continue. I have been very public about the protection of immigrants and Palestinians, Palestinian rights, and LGBTQIA+ rights. And I just ask that in these times that you will continue to uphold and work with our community in order to make sure that these things don't go away, that we are protected, and that we actually create good change in Las Cruces. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah, my time's turned. I'm here to lend my support to people like myself.
Can you state your name first?
Oh, sorry. Guillermo Canaway. I'm here to lend my support amongst other people who feel that their own rights and their ability to feel secure in themselves are at danger. We have been told we're at danger because of our now current president, and we need the assurances that we can find that safety in this community. We have the tenants to be that safety and security. It's just continuing to maintain it and make sure it can't be shaken, alongside making sure everyone, whether we can hear them or not, is able to continue being supported and being secure in being allowed to exist, basically. And most certainly that comes from upholding queer rights, helping the people who are a threat of deportation, alongside, not even to mention the trans people who are having so many rights taken away from them. It was a sprint to trying to get their own identities recognized before Trump took office yesterday, and now we're in the post of that. And I hope we're not in a place where we're in the post of a lot of things. And I hope that us as a community can maintain that we can make a safe world, a kind world, and that's also through recognizing everyone who has the ability to bring beauty to this. That includes the people being hurt in Gaza, which de-investment into anything that can go in towards that is one of the major helps, but that's also towards supporting our queer people, and that goes towards also decriminalizing homelessness. We had it mentioned before that housing is a major issue right now. If that by the time we hit the bottom of that as individuals and we're left on the street, we can't just be left as people who cannot support ourselves or even support our communities. Because all of us can do great things for this wonderful city and continue to do so. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. My name is Sylvia Yancey, and I'm a resident of District 2 in Las Cruces. Around 4 years ago, I moved down here from Alaska in search of a more progressive and safe area to live. Growing up, I feared for my rights and my safety as a gay woman in a very conservative part of the country. Unfortunately, I gained many of these fears at a very young age. There are protections that keep me safe, such as abortion access, anti-discrimination laws, and equal marriage. While I have the privilege to live in a state that offers these, I am scared of what's going to happen in the near future. I'm scared of my immigrant friends. I'm scared for my immigrant friends, my queer friends, my friends of color, and other minority communities in Las Cruces and the rest of the country. I hope that I can count on y'all, my elected officials, to help keep these protections that we have in place and to keep fighting for vulnerable groups in Las Cruces. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rio Lopez, and I'm here to support my students as well as the New Mexico Dream Team chapter, which organizes and supports a lot of our immigrant students, not only at NMSU, but throughout the city and at different schools. I was also asked to read a statement on behalf of Tatiana Prieto from the ACLU. We are thankful for and proud to stand with so many incredible partners and elected champions who work tirelessly to protect and advance the rights of all New Mexicans, including many in this room. The mission of the ACLU of New Mexico has always been to protect and advance justice, liberty, and equity as guaranteed by the constitutions of New Mexico and the United States. The ACLU stands with our immigrant communities. The ACLU stands with our LGBT+ communities, with our indigenous communities, and proudly stands with all New Mexicans. The ACLU is committed to fighting attacks on autonomy, freedom of speech, and any discrimination based on immigration status, economic status, gender identity, and sexual preference. The ACLU has a commitment to fight in courts, in the legislature, and in our communities to ensure that New Mexico remains a state where all people belong and are respected. The ACLU plays a long game. They've been around for 105 years, have seen 19 presidents come and go, and will have activist supporters across the state, making sure that civil rights and liberties are respected. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rose, and I am a lifelong resident here in Las Cruces. I am here today to emphasize the importance of coming together as a community to support our most vulnerable populations, the unhoused, undocumented LGBTQ+ community. And I think it's important for our community to have access to gender-affirming care and medical care for women's health, both of which have been suffered setbacks in other parts of the country. And instead of punishing people for their vulnerabilities, we must hold our systems accountable for failing to provide the necessary protections for those who need it the most. And the only way forward is by ensuring that we everyday people keep us safe, and those of you in power know that the people will always fight for our rights. And I would like to take a moment of silence to the men, women, children, teachers, artists, doctors, and journalists who have been killed in the ongoing genocide in Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Enriquez and Council. I'm Lynn Moorer. I formerly practiced environmental law in Nebraska. At your December 2nd meeting, I requested a briefing at a City Council meeting on EPA's new lead and copper rule with experts, allowing ample opportunity for questions and comments from the public. Since you still have not yet scheduled such a briefing, I want to awaken you to an important technical issue. The centerpiece of the briefing the council received about the new rule at its November 18 meeting, a briefing that did not allow opportunity for questions and comments from the public, was a water meter box. It was explained that checking this box holds the key to knowing what material any service line is made of, whether lead, copper, galvanized iron, or steel, or some kind of plastic like PVC. EPA says this method may be used if it is accurate. As EPA recommends, I checked with 6 licensed plumbers in Las Cruces about this technique of merely checking the water meter box and looking at what the pipes in the box appear to be to determine what the entire service line is made of. Not one of these plumbers thought much of it. They consider it a deficient technique. Some said it's preferable to snake a camera up the pipe to get a good look at the entire length from its interior. Others said they would dig a trench along the pipe in the ground to get a look at all of its exterior. Some explained that a setter's meter might be encountered that can fool regarding the materials used, so it's necessary to dig down way below grade to determine what the pipe is. Moreover, EPA says that some service lines may be lead-lined pipes. These pipes appear to be non-lead on the exterior, but their interior have lead lining. The point is, just looking inside the meter box isn't sufficient. You need to look farther. Based on website information, the cities of El Paso, Dallas, Lubbock, Houston, Amarillo, Oklahoma City, and Tucson do not rely solely upon checking the meter box, as our LCU people recommended. Tucson, Houston, and Amarillo do test holing inspections, which involve digging 2 small holes near the meter to investigate the pipes. Oklahoma City asks its customers not to look inside their water meter box because of the risk of damage to the equipment and because the private service line to be identified begins approximately 18 to 24 inches away from the water meter. Based on this evidence, it unfortunately appears that there is strong reason to question the judgment of and technique used by the city thus far in locating pipes that need replacement. None of the 6 licensed plumbers I consulted would agree that any of the properties the city has checked using just the look in the meter box technique has been proven to be lead-free, as city personnel have asserted. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Mayor, City Councilors, my name is Liz Rodriguez Johnson. I have numerous concerns about how the city is implementing the new lead and copper rule. When 6 licensed plumbers in Las Cruces say that they have no confidence in the city's decision to just check the meter box to find out what the service line is made of, that is a serious concern. This means that the city's characterizations that no lead piping has been found are unreliable. It also means that the property owners who just check the meter box on their property using the same technique and report there's no lead are probably also unreliable. This is one of the many reasons we continue to request a briefing at a city council meeting as soon as possible that allows significant opportunity for questions and comments from the public regarding the city's implementation of the new rule. Plus, EPA materials say checking your water service line can help determine if you have lead, but they don't say it's a definitive way to find out. EPA says you have to have your water tested to find out for certain. This suggests that concluding, as the city appears to be doing, that there's no lead in a service line based simply upon checking the pipes, regardless of the technique used, is not necessarily true. EPA says water tests have to be conducted to know for sure. It is critical for all customers using the city water system to know whether they need to be testing their water for lead or any other pollutants. The city statements and materials don't make this clear. This needs to be clear in English and in Spanish. There's still no evidence that the city has yet issued a letter in Spanish about the rule and what Spanish-speaking customers need to do to protect their health. It's been a month and a half since this issue was brought to your attention, and there's no evidence yet of a letter in Spanish or modification of the city's website to provide all information in Spanish as well as in English. I can't understand how you failed to provide a full letter and website in Spanish in reliance upon any state template that says you don't have to. If it's the right thing to do, it's the right thing to do. New Mexico Environment Department itself says it does not have primacy with respect to enforcing the new rule. It's the federal government who has the final say. The city's website still needs to be more complete, understandable, and up to date. It's still confusing and out of date. Numerous other cities in the Southwest have more complete and understandable websites regarding the rule. This needs to be remedied right away. You really need to use methods that actually inform the people affected. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and Las Cruces community. My name is Liz Bennett, and I'm a resident of District 4. I'm here to remind the council and the public of what we stand for as a community while we experience another historic rise in authoritarianism. In November of 2021, the Las Cruces City Council passed Resolution 2259, which declares Las Cruces as a diverse and welcoming community and friendly city to all immigrants. The resolution goes on to detail the vast and essential cultural and economic contribution of the immigrant community in our state and county. In December of 2017, this council passed Resolution 1875, reaffirming the City of Las Cruces' commitment to creating a quality place to live and work through non-discrimination in all areas of city government and declaring the city a welcoming community. This resolution reminds us all that LCPD employees are not authorized to detain or arrest any person solely based on their nationality or ethnicity. I'd also like to remind us all about what our state has done to preserve the rights of women and the LGBTQ+ community, including House Bill 7, the Reproductive and Gender Affirming Healthcare Freedom Act, which protects access to abortion and transgender hormone therapy throughout the state, preventing local bodies from blocking access to these services. Additionally, in 2013, the New Mexico Supreme Court ruled in a unanimous decision that the state constitution requires that same-sex couples be treated equally under the law. While we have worked hard for these measures, some symbolic and some legally binding, there is still much work to be done to create the safe, just, and sustainable community that we all hope for. I'm here to implore all of you and all of us as a community have the courage and commitment in the face of tyranny as we stand in solidarity to protect Black, brown, and queer lives, as we work to decriminalize poverty, and as we fight for an environmentally equitable and sustainable present and future. Please join us in this work. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council. My name is Sarai Guerrero. I currently live in District 1, but I have lived in Las Cruces my entire life. My parents are immigrants from Torreon, Coahuila, and they came here for the sole purpose to give a better future for me and my siblings. With the upcoming Trump administration, I am terrified for the rights and the livelihoods of my mother, my father, and my siblings, as well as my friends and other community members who have the same identities that I do. I am also terrified for the queer community in Las Cruces because I have grown up and lived here. I have lived from Highway 70 all the way down to Picacho Avenue. I know this city like the back of my hand. And I also know how loving and caring with Cariño, as we say in Las Cruces, our community is. And so I ask that you all work to strengthen the already enacted policies that we have as a city, whether it be at a police level, at the local municipal level, like right now, to help ensure that our communities actively feel safe and that they continue to be safe and secure. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Citlali Delgado. I am here today in community to ask that you hold strong against whatever horrific wave of violent, hateful, racist, homophobic, transphobic, misogynistic, bigoted laws and executive orders are about to be handed down from one of the richest, most corrupt, backwards, and criminally convicted administrations in recent history. I'm here to ask you to stop criminalizing poverty and to stop abusing folks who are unhoused, to stop pouring money into policing sins that have been proven to a colossal, expensive, and deadly failure. I'm here to ask that you start taking care of our environment and enact policies that reflect climate justice. I'm here to ask that you uphold human rights. I ask that you hold the line against mass deportation. I'm here to ask that you work on divesting from carcerality and militarism and end your attachment to the violence and prisons and your addiction to throwing people away. I'm here to ask that you divest from all corporation contracts profiting off the occupation of Palestine and join the international call for an arms embargo of the genocidal state of Israel. I'm asking you to invest in education, healthcare, and housing. I'm here to remind you that most of us in Las Cruces know that community well-being is dependent on upholding human rights, immigrant justice, reproductive justice, climate justice, queer rights, and gender justice, living wages, and housing for all. Thank you for your time today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Cariño Wallace. I've been a resident of Las Cruces for about 15 years now, and I have come before this council today because I am afraid. Yesterday, an executive order was signed, which is President Trump's way of defining biological sex, which, when you look at it, actually legally defines everybody as female. But aside from that, I want to point out that what I did with most of my 2024 was work day and night to re-elect our Congressman, Gabe Vasquez, to the U.S. House of Representatives, so we could continue to have fair and just representation for the people of Southern New Mexico. At the end of that campaign, when the results came in, many people, asked many members of the City Council and you, Mr. Mayor, what they thought of the results. And something that you said, Mr. Mayor, that really struck me was that Yvette Harrell ran a great campaign. I would like to come and highlight that Yvette Harrell ran a campaign that spent much time demonizing trans people, demonizing immigrants, legal or otherwise, and making a very interesting claim that a lot of the people on that side have made, that 6 million people have illegally crossed the border, which is a number that is unfounded. I am afraid when I hear things like this. I don't think any serious consideration should be given to politicians who go up there and spend the majority of their campaign spreading hate and bigotry. And I just want to remind everyone here on this council that the people of Las Cruces have a growing number of trans and generally queer people who are moving to Las Cruces. We have a great center here that was originally the St. Luke's Clinic and is now called Amador Health Center. That is the best place for trans health care here in Las Cruces. And I want to see and be sure that that is still supported by our city council. It is an important place, an important part of our community, and it is important to support this community. I hope to see you all around at many events, because I do stay quite busy, and I hope you all take care and remember that we have a growing number of LGBTQ+ people who are moving here and are coming here because they seek to be protected. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dana Hopkins. I am a resident of Las Cruces. I live about a mile from here, and I'm here as a board member of Cafe New Mexico, as a queer woman, queer mom, queer grandmother, as a mentor, supporter, sometimes shelterer of many, many, many youth, some of whom are from mixed documentation families, many of whom are queer, and many, many of whom are trans. And I appreciate the shelter and comfort and safety, relative safety, that these young folks have felt here, and I hope will continue to feel here. I hosted a large gathering at my home yesterday because so many people are afraid. And my house was full of folks, primarily trans folks, who are frightened and are frightened about what's going to happen next. And I also have the great honor and privilege of taking a lot of phone calls. Folks feel comfortable calling me when they're having a hard time. So I can tell you that the number of calls that I am getting from trans folks, especially trans young folks, who over the past month are thinking of taking their lives because they are so terrified, has grown. I would certainly hope, and I plead with all of you, to continue the work of keeping our immigrant community safe, of sticking with the not enforcing of that agreement that we have with our police department, and of continuing to make this a safe place for our, yes, it may be growing, but we've always been here, LGBT community. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Cecilia Leonora Vargas. I live within the border region of Doña Ana County. I'm here to advocate for immigrant rights, and I'm speaking as the daughter of an immigrant. I commend the City of Las Cruces for the commitment to upholding and protecting the rights of undocumented community of Las Cruces and New Mexico. I ask that you continue to ensure these rights are protected and to join federal and state level efforts for a pathway to citizenship for undocumented individuals. Remember that these valued New Mexico undocumented immigrants pay more than $67 million in state and local taxes and generated more than $319 billion in business income. Again, I ask you to continue to ensure that immigrant rights are protected and to join federal and state level efforts for a pathway to citizenship for the 60,000 undocumented New Mexicans. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm a resident of Earth. We're all one. I'm here today.
Sir, can you state your name?
Yeah, my name is Robert Williams. I'm a business owner, I'm a father. I'm here today to talk about, I can't say any more than what has already been said. I stand with my brothers and sisters in solidarity. I do want to say, you are all leaders, right? Right? Mr. Story, you guys are leaders, right? You guys are leading Las Cruces. I want you guys to remember that as all these executive orders are put in place. And remember that most of you are mothers, fathers, you all have children. Do what's right and do what's humane. Do what you would do for your kids. A true leader, I believe, doesn't just take orders from people. They give orders as well. And remember that, especially you, Mr. Story, I'm not trying to single you out. I know your job is hard. And there's no Border Patrol agents to speak to, but you guys you're not the Gestapo, you know what I mean? You're not the new Gestapo. I know you try to do what's right, and we appreciate you for that, but please, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm not scared, I stay ready. That's why I'm here, to push back a little bit, to speak to you all. I kind of lost my train of thought, but anyways, I'm a father of a son that's on the autism spectrum. He was with me earlier. He was having a meltdown outside just a minute ago, so I'm glad I got to come up here and speak. We need more protection for children like my son. I worry a lot. I see a lot of things in the news that are going on where they're getting murdered because they don't speak. My son is nonverbal. We're working on that. And I would ask you, there was a story that popped up about a gentleman named Mr. Hadley that was murdered in Mescalero, New Mexico, because he had a BB gun. And I believe he was murdered in cold blood. The police officer was afraid of a BB gun, non-threatening. I believe the kid might have had some kind of intellectual disability. I don't remember the whole thing. But if you can look into that and make sure that that person that murdered him, you know, Mr. Hadley gets the justice he deserves. Because I don't believe that if somebody's laying on the ground, you should shoot them another 11 times. You know, maybe if you're scared, take out his leg, something like that, you know what I mean? It's a kid. But at the same time, thank you guys for your time. I wish I would have been a little more prepared. But like I say, do what's right, do what's humane. I love everybody, even the Trump supporters. I don't understand, but I still love you. And let's all work together and make this place better. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, members of the council, and all the public servants of Las Cruces. My name is Athena Huckabee. You may be used to hearing from me on the topic of the opioid crisis. I'm here to talk to you about an even more devastating scourge on our communities, which is alcohol. Today, I come before you to ask you to adopt a resolution urging the New Mexico legislature to create an Alcohol Harms Alleviation Fund, the AHA Fund for short. New Mexico faces a true public health crisis when it comes to alcohol. Our state has the highest rate of alcohol-related deaths per capita in the nation, double the national average. Every year, 2,200 New Mexicans lose their lives due to alcohol-related causes, as compared to about 950 overdose deaths. These aren't just numbers. These are families that are devastated, communities that are impacted, and lives that are cut short. The financial toll is equally staggering. Excessive alcohol use costs New Mexico over $2.2 billion annually. That's more than $1,000 for every resident in the state. And while these costs fall on all of us, they disproportionately impact our healthcare systems, our law enforcement, and our local governments. Essentially, New Mexico taxpayers are subsidizing the alcohol industry. Meanwhile, the taxes on alcohol in New Mexico haven't been raised in 30 years. This is not sustainable. By creating an Alcohol Harms Alleviation Fund, we have an opportunity to mitigate the damage alcohol does to our communities. Revenue from increased alcohol taxes could fund prevention programs, expand treatment options, offer harm reduction services, and support recovery efforts, steps that would save lives and reduce long-term costs for everyone. This resolution, of which I believe you all have a draft in front of you, is not about prohibition or punishing responsible drinkers. It's about accountability and investing in public health. I urge the council to adopt this resolution and to send a strong message to the legislature that the time to act is now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, City Council and Mr. Mayor. My name is Clarissa, and I have lived and worked here in Las Cruces for over 18 years. I have concerns about the systems we have in place to support individuals who need help in low-income situations and food insecurity. Currently, many of the programs such as SNAP or housing and the like are structured to assist families. Not that that's a bad thing, but when applying for certain assistance programs, I have often been told I do not qualify for them because I have, and I quote, no eligible children. Despite having no children, I'm still a person too, and sometimes need help as well. Excuse me. It's unfair that in one such situation, I was offered only $17 in order by SNAP in order to assist me with my food costs, especially when I really needed the help. I just ask that we as a community could strive could make strives for these assistance programs to be beneficial for both individuals and families, and that's what I would like to see moving forward, that we support our community as a whole. Thank you so much.
Mayor, City Council. My name is Phoenix Petraki. I'm here because I'm concerned about the safety and the human rights of myself, my neighbors, and my community in Las Cruces. I didn't realize it at the time, but I first earned the right to marry in 2015 when the Supreme Court ruled in Obergefell and when I was dating my high school sweetheart. I transitioned in 2023. Nearly 8 years together, and despite being the same person and being engaged to the same person, that relationship is subject to scrutiny, and my right to marry, my safety in public, and my protections from discrimination are under threat. Moreover, I'm not alone. Shortly after I moved here, I did work which took me all over Las Cruces. When you look like me, many people feel safer telling you who they are. Everywhere I went, I met people who felt afraid and betrayed in precisely the same way I did. There were not just queer people and trans people, yes, but also Jewish people, Muslims, African Americans, immigrants and children of immigrants, women, all of whom were terrified, not only by the loss of their rights, but by the hate and the harassment promulgated by a select few in our city. These are your constituents, and they are losing faith in their future. This mistrust erodes the very fabric of Las Cruces. When we go in public, we are afraid of attack by our neighbors. We have fear that the city will do nothing, or worse, that it will enable this behavior. The apartment next to me was robbed, and I was afraid to speak to the police because I didn't know if it was safe for a trans person to be known to be living in a certain spot by the police. In 8 days, I have a court date to finalize my legal name change, and I'm not certain that the judge will rule according to the laws of New Mexico. We are members of this city, and we want to provide for those we love and give back to the community just like anybody else. Why then are we in a position where we must fear whether its laws and law enforcement will protect our rights? Las Cruces needs public supports for its community, economic policy which protects our poorest, and social policy which protects our most vulnerable. And most of all, we need public servants in every sector who put their oaths above a vitriolic and hateful few. I urge you to remember your oaths in the coming years And to those of you who have already had that courage, thank you.
Hello, Council. Ooh. Sorry, I was sitting there for a while. Hello, Council. Hello, Mayor. My name is Trent Scribner. I live in District 1 right now. I've lived here my whole life. My family has been here since before it was New Mexico. I've been working in healthcare here for about 2 years, home health and in the hospitals. And during my time doing that, I've worked with a lot of undocumented people who are among my most treasured colleagues. These people are taking care of your mothers and grandmothers. They're out there, you know, saving lives and making lives easier for people. And they shouldn't be scared to come to work and do that for us. And beyond being my colleagues, they're some of my most treasured friends. Some of the people I care for most in this world are undocumented or queer or transgender or anything, and there's no reason that these people should have to walk around and be scared and think that their city doesn't have their back. Beyond the fear, we're strong together. Our community is strong together and is ready to push back against whatever the next 4 years brings. But I have faith in the council. I have faith in you, Mr. Mayor, that you'll do what's best for the most people in Las Cruces. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is David Lamont Mooney, a resident of Las Cruces. Here to express my fear, as well as the fear of many of my peers who cannot attend today. This fear is for the coming years that our environment, institutions, bodily autonomy, and basic human rights will be under attack. In these years, please remember that this council needs to represent all members of this community, regardless of their citizenship, race, ability, gender, sexual orientation, or housing status. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, my Las Cruces siblings. My name is Robert Sunicle, and I have been a resident of Las Cruces since 2009. I am a bit unprepared, as I just heard of this late last night. But I just wanted to be another voice standing in solidarity with so many of the people that have already spoken today. And I don't feel that this is business as usual, and it's the new administration is presenting a not so slow implementation of fascist ideals. And the dissemination of actual fact is filtered through an increasingly privileged and homogenized voice coming from an administration and its billionaire fuelers. And so if I had an ask, I guess it is to urge this council to maintain the dialogues and the relationships that they have with organizations that are not only supporting the marginalized populations, but are also able to disseminate a more accurate view of what is actually happening and who it affects, to maintain accountability and to not lose touch as a louder, better funded voice of hate takes over. I'm ill-equipped to provide actual accurate facts of policy implementations at this time, but I know enough to know that the standard flow of info is changing, and we need to stay in conversation with groups like Cafe Acción and the New Mexico Dream Team, and any of these organizations that are helping to keep us together and as a functioning and caring city. My daughter turns 4 today, and I'm thinking of the friends and the family that are going to be there to celebrate her and to support her and help raise her. And most of them are under attack by the new administration. And I think I have just realized recently just how large those numbers are, and also just how present they've always been. And the new policies that are going to be put into effect just make it easier to be a criminal, and it just requires more money or privilege or more hiding by the endangered populations. And I want to be on the same page as the rest of the world stage, and I think time will show that. And so I urge you all to please see past the noise and listen to the people that are actually trying to bring the community together. Thank you.
Welcome, Council. Hello, my name is B. Quinones. I wanted to be short but brief because I saw my sisters and my brothers here. And
Sorry,
my family.
ma'am, we didn't get your name. Could you state your name?
It was B. Quinones. Yes. I just wanted to show solidarity with my family, with my sisters and my brothers of Las Cruces. I also wanted to speak on how here we are one of the least educated states in the country. We are also in poverty, and all of us who are looking at each other right now have worked together to get you in power, to give you a voice, to ask for our voice to be heard. I am not only a queer individual here, I'm a drag artist. I am also a disabled person. Lots of individuals who come here seek medical treatment, whether they are coming from Florida or California because of arthritis, the environment, just being better for their overall health. And with that, I want us to also protect the individuals who are here, which includes homeless people, who include people who can be homeless at any moment due to income being so hard to find. I just do want to urge all of us that in the next 4 years, with the uncertainty of what's about to happen, that we forget niceties, we forget pleasantries, because with the uncertainty of not only the political climate, we have no idea about power, we have no idea about supplies, with hurricanes and fires. What we need is kindness, because our community needs to build stability within every individual who lives here, whether they are someone like me, someone like you. So I do urge us, please, to build the community within, because the economy, the way that we are wanting it, will not grow. We cannot hide individuals with criminal charges. We cannot hide individuals by giving them labels that do nothing but put us in boxes and further us away from community. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is George Pearson, and I'm Vice President of Cruces, a bike pedestrian advocacy organization. Not long after the start of the new year, we had the sad news that a bicyclist was killed in a crash. There are not many details available, but the bicyclist was in a buffered bike lane. Just looking at the crash site, the vehicle driver may have been distracted. Humans are error-prone, but an error should not result in the loss of a life. As in most cases, there's probably no one single cause for this deadly crash. What we cannot do is just throw our hands in the air and say there's nothing else that can be done. Some of you are familiar with Strong Towns organization founded by Chuck Marone. Chuck presented to council via a Zoom work session in January 2021 as part of your budget retreat. Strong Towns has been performing a crash analysis studio. The point is to investigate a crash without trying to assign blame, but to see if physical changes to the crash site might have prevented the fatality. My ask is that for this and for any further fatalities, the crash analysis studio type report be made. This could include recommendations for changes to prevent a similar crash in the future. In this case, there is already a buffered bike lane. Would a protected bike lane have prevented this death? Might a life be worth $2,000 or $3,000 spent on flex posts? Maybe better lighting is needed at the intersection. Without an analysis, these questions cannot be answered. We've had about a half dozen bicyclist fatalities in the past 2 or 3 years, and a much larger number of pedestrian and vehicle fatalities. Don't we owe the families of these victims some answers? And don't we need to learn what we can to do better to prevent future fatalities? NMDOT sets goals to reduce traffic fatalities, and it is up to Las Cruces to do what it can to meet a Vision Zero goal of no traffic deaths. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, my name is Jim Wilcox. I serve on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and I bring to you today a traffic report that's actually a death notice. This is the notice of Roy Parra, who was killed on our roads, as Mr. Pearson had just pointed out. So we're also talking, as many other people here, about protecting the safety of our residents. Now I'm not going to talk about the other committee members on the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, but I'm going to talk about my experience. We have been asking for an active transportation coordinator for years. The city has quit advertising that position. Now, I can't say that having that position filled would have prevented this death, but we do know that that position is charged with working for a safer cycling infrastructure, for more safety for pedestrians. It's been 2 years since we had the last one. Out of the last 4 years, we've had one person for 1 year. I don't know what's happened with that position. Somebody's not following up. We've saved a lot of money not paying somebody when that's been budgeted. So what is happening with that position? I also want to point out that BPAC, we have asked for these reports so that we could look at the reports and evaluate what could we do better in this community to make it safer for pedestrians and cyclists. The response we got was interagency challenges. It's difficult to work across the board with other agencies, so we've had none, and yet I have one right here. Now, we had another person who had been here today, and he's a person who relies on cycling to get around. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the internal confidence to come and speak to you today. And I want to remind you people that there's many people in our community whose voices aren't heard because they're afraid to come here. They don't have the skill set to speak. We saw many people struggle. The only reason I know some of my skills is I faced high school kids, the worst or the most difficult audience in the world. So I'm able to do that and come here and talk to you. But I want to remind you, there's many people out there whose voices aren't heard. And I'm going to take this last few seconds, the rest of my time, in symbolic speech, in silence, to remember those pedestrians, cyclists, who may have been here in our community, but who are no longer here because we haven't done enough. Thank you.
We've not buying. Why?
Good afternoon to all. I'm Yoli Diaz. Since 2021, I have alerted the City of Las Cruces Council, and since June 5th, 2023, I've come to your meetings 15 times, and I've alerted you to the fact that Memorial Medical Center has been wrongfully turning away cancer patients, and not just cancer patients, or effectively turning them away by illegally demanding payments up front. You shouldn't need to be reminded. This is a matter of life and death for many patients. As co-owner with Doñana County of the land on which the hospital sits, the City of Las Cruces has from the get-go had the power to stop the breach of MMC's non-compliance with its lease. Everyone within the city can do something about stopping this atrocity: councilors, mayor, city manager, and city attorney. It's been about 3.5 years that I've been coming to you. Ignoring explicit calls for help and warnings of noncompliance for any length of time is dereliction of duty. But the city's prolonged dereliction of duty has been appalling, inexcusable, and extremely troubling to countless residents. Both the city and MMC are supposed to be serving all the residents of Las Cruces. With respect, telling us your feelings about the situation really doesn't cut it. It doesn't solve anything, much less achieve compliance. As I notified all of you when it happened again in December 2024, 4 months after the city sent the notice of breach, MMC turned away a 49-year-old woman diagnosed with breast cancer in the middle of the Department of Justice investigation. Like all MMC's previous 12 or 13 denials of care to cancer patients that NBC reported, and the countless number of unreported, this never should have happened. And although the advocacy of both Dr. Earl Neeson and I changed the course for this resident, what about the residents without knowledge or advocacy? As I recall at a press conference last July, one counselor said she had been having conversations for 6 months about levers available under the lease to force MMC to comply. Talk is cheap. We'd like to know now, 6 months after the press conference, what levers have you identified? Has the city actually pressed any levers besides sending the notice of breach? That lever certainly hasn't achieved compliance by MMC. The hospital has asked for more time, so the city is holding little private meetings with them. Again, talk is cheap. While the city is doing that, MMC is turning away more cancer patients. It should be welcoming with open arms and treating in their time of need, regardless of their ability to pay. What's the new deadline the city has set for MMC? When will the city step up to the plate and actually use the power it possesses to enforce the lease and force MMC to provide cancer treatment to all patients as required? I urge you to do more than talk and at last, long last, get moving and take action. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Buenas tardes. My name is Maribel Salmon, and I just wanted to introduce myself as the new Family Engagement Associate for SCAN, Save the Children Action Network. I'll be working in the community. I'm assigned to the Doñana County, and we're going to go to the state legislature on the 27th. So if anybody wants to join me or sign up to help us out, I will be staying till the end of the meeting. If anybody wants more information, I have flyers and all of that. We're advocating for children, and specifically this time around, we're going to go ahead and push for the career and wage ladder for our early childhood education workers. So we really want to make give recognition to all those people that help raise our children. So if anybody has any questions about it, I will be in the back.
Rally! And cause.
Hi, so my name is Chris Center. I am part of District 3, I believe. So I kind of came unprepared for this, but I just want to speak about what has been on my mind since this past weekend, because we went to the People's March on Saturday and we were able to participate in that. And one of the reasons why we participated in that was because of the fact that that my job was being threatened because of the ridiculous TikTok ban that was being enabled by our legislator, by our president, everyone was not upholding that. And so my livelihood was threatened by that. And so one of the reasons why we did participate is because that was taken away from us and then given back, which is absolutely crazy. But I also feel like it's necessary to talk about what everyone had talked about earlier, is that it's so important for the community to be involved and to be actually care for one another and put policies in force so that way we don't have to live in fear, because I'm scared. I'm scared for my life, I'm scared for my family's life, I'm scared for the friends around me, because this is threatening. This is threatening to democracy. This thing is not good, and I just have a bad feeling about it, and I think it's important that we all recognize that this is not good. And yeah, so keep fighting for LGBTQ rights, keep fighting for the unhoused, keep fighting for any marginalized group that live in Las Cruces, because we need it, and it's just so important right now. So thank you.
Jeffrey Field, Las Cruces resident. That gentleman was right. Elon Musk has a death wish. Twice he did. Number two, before I get to the
Sir,
main.
if we can get you to speak directly into the microphone.
Oh, I thought I was loud enough, I'm sorry. Number two, I appeared before council 4 times asking for a ceasefire resolution in Gaza. One of the council members here opined that it's really not our province to weigh in on this. Those weren't the exact words, but it's close enough. We're going to find out if what I'm about to tell you is your province. I'm here to express my deep concern over Donald Trump's executive order pardoning over 1,500 individuals convicted of participating in the violent attack on the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021. This act of violence was a direct assault on our democracy and the values we hold dear as Americans. The individuals who stormed the Capitol that day sought to overturn the will of the people and undermine the very foundation of our republic. Their actions resulted in the loss of life, widespread destruction, and a lasting scar on the soul of our nation. We cannot and we must not forget the images we saw that day. Windows shattered, police officers attacked, and our elected representatives fleeing for their lives. That is why I urge this council to draft a resolution condemning this pardon, one which seeks to erase the accountability and consequences for those who engage in this heinous acts. Passage of such resolution will send a clear message to our community and our state and our nation that we as a city stand united in the defense of our democracy and reject any attempt to undermine it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. My name is Valerie Barone, and I'm a resident of District 3. And while many problems have been brought here today, I'm sorry, I didn't come exactly prepared. I would like to show my support for said problems and said fears. I am the daughter of both an African American and an undocumented immigrant. And
to say that every day I live in the constant fear that something will happen to my mother or my father is a clear understatement, especially with said executive orders given today. All of you have families. All of you have either children, siblings, parents, and with my mom being undocumented, the act of her deportation was extremely traumatic to me as a child. To have to go home from school and hear that, hey, you're no longer going to see your mom ever again, from one of my older siblings, truly, it shattered something in me, and I know that for years to come, it's going to shatter many children if we do not expand on the protections that we have, if we do not reinforce the ones that we have and expand on said protections. As a queer person, I live every day with the fear that someone is going to disagree or even go so far as to hate my partner for not presenting as feminine or masculine as I should, quote unquote. And that one day I will hear that something violent had happened to my partner. There are many more problems in the city than the not problems that were addressed in the executive orders. Immigrants are not the problem. Neither are queer people, neither are Palestinians, neither are the sick, neither are the unhoused. The problem is houselessness. The fact that we have to make 3 times the rent in order to even qualify for a 1-bedroom apartment is absolutely ludicrous, seeing as both me and my partner, our combined income is about $2,200. We still do not qualify for a 1-bedroom house here in Las Cruces due to the fact that we have to make more than 3 times the rent, and the average rent for a house like that is $1,200. We still do, and I would like to thank you for all that you've done. Thank you very much.
Kennedy, come in here.
Good afternoon. My name's Jim Hurst, and I want to recognize the council for listening today. Did you notice how young the crowd was? Ordinarily, I'm an advocate for separation of church and state, but today I want to talk about something different. I also want to point out I'm a member of the huddled masses yearning to breathe free, who have found a home in America and in Las Cruces. And my home is under threat. Thank you. I also want to say that I watched the January 13th meeting. It kind of seemed like a trial, except the judge and jury was the city attorney, and he also acted as the mayor's counsel. I saw a lot of witness testimony that was not under oath, that was not challenged by an adversarial cross-examination. How it can be part of a legal proceeding or a legal remedy for a crime, I do not know. It seems that the Attorney General ought to require sworn depositions given under an adversarial environment. The mayor can say anything he wants about anything he wants if he's not challenged with a cross-examination. Also, there has been no statement explicitly saying who did what, when, where, why, and how. The mayor's office has not issued such a statement. Why not? Is there something to hide? It seems to me the mayor has a conflict. He's been accused of a illegal act. He will either disclose the facts or not. He has, if the facts are not favorable to him, he has a conflict of interest. He will either say things that implicate him in an illegal act, or he won't. I don't know how the mayor can go on protecting his right not to incriminate himself and disclosing information. That seems like a direct conflict. So I'm trying to figure out how the city intends to repair its reputation for an honest, open government. Thank you very much.
Hello, Mayor, City Council. My name is Fred Miller, and I watched the inauguration speech yesterday. There were two things that came up.
Mr. Miller, can you just speak a little bit louder?
A little bit, okay. Is that better? It's a little bit higher. Okay, there were two things that came up in the new president's inauguration speech yesterday that bothered me, and they kind of tie into each other. One, a lot of people have already addressed this policy of there's only two genders or two sexes. That's not based in reality. It's not based on biology or psychology or sociology. It seems to come from a specific concept of God, which was also brought up in his inauguration speech. He wants to bring God into our government. It's an absurd God that doesn't have a place in a natural world. And I hope that we won't go along with that. I hope in the future here in Las Cruces, we'll keep our government separate from our God. So please, no prayer meetings in City Hall, stuff like that. Thank you.
Baker!
Okay, thank you all for your public participation. Next is the acceptance of agenda.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second, Corin.
So the first item is 7.1 resolution
Mayor,
number.
I need to call a vote first. Sorry.
Sorry, go.
No worries. This is on the motion to approve the agenda as accepted. Councillor McClure?
Yes.
Councillor Matisse?
Yes.
Councillor Graham?
Yes.
Councillor Cran?
Yes.
Councillor Flores is absent. Councillor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. So the first item is 7.1, resolution number 25-085, a resolution to accept the City of Las Cruces annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 24.
Move to approve, Corin.
Second, Graham.
Okay, Josie, you'll start.
Good afternoon. My name is Josie Treviño. I'm the comptroller for the City of Las Cruces. And today we'll be going over the FY24 fiscal year 24 annual comprehensive financial report. And with us is our external auditor, Chris Garner. But before we go into the presentation, I would like to acknowledge the accounting team that prepared this 300-page report. And if I could just get them to stand up, please. So this is the team that works for about 5 months to get us to this report, which is what Chris Gardner is going to be presenting today.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. What I have here is some of the highlights. A lot of you were at the exit conference we had in, I believe it was late November, early December. And I've just got some highlights from that presentation going over the overall results of the audit process. The first slide is talking about the results of our audit. We issued what we call an unmodified or a clean opinion. This is exactly the type of report that the city wants to receive. Our statements, or our opinion states that your financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with the standards that we as your auditors have to follow. So again, this is a good thing. In your audit report, there are two other reports that are ours. The one report on the left is more commonly referred to as a Yellow Book report. The New Mexico State Auditor requires all audits in our state to follow these standards. The reason is they want us to look at internal controls and actually pick samples. Regular auditing standards only require we test one transaction from each significant cycle, so things like cash disbursements, payroll. To meet those auditing standards, all we do is have to test one. Well, Yellow Book standards say no, we want you to pick samples from all significant cycles and test those internal controls. In addition, the state auditor also requires us to test 21 additional items, things like travel and per diem, procurement. So there's a lot more testing we do in our state. As a result of that testing, the Yellow Book has a standard, what they call significant matters, which is kind of up here. State audit rule basically takes that level down to the ground and says, any exceptions, we don't care if it meets that threshold or not, in our state have to be reported. So bottom line is in New Mexico, when we follow the Yellow Book audit, we have more transactions to test than we do just going down south to Texas, and we have more findings because they want us to be transparent. They want us to talk about what's going on as far as internal controls. As you can see here, based upon that expanded testing, we did not have any exceptions and we did not have any findings as we went through that process. The one on the right, uniform guidance, is what we call a single audit. And what it is it's auditing your grants, your federal expenditures, and making sure that the city is following the provisions that are spelled out in your individual grants. As you can see here, we did not have any findings, but we do issue an opinion in this report. And again, we issued an unmodified or a clean opinion. So both opinions that were issued in our audit report are exactly what the city wants to receive. The next required communication is going over a few things. Difficulties encountered in performing the audit, and the whole reason auditing standards want us to talk about that is to let the council know how are your financial records being maintained. And as you can see here, we did not have any issues. What that tells council is that when we ask questions as auditors, we're given good support, we're given in a timely manner, and it's completed accurately, and it has the proper authorizations, etc. So as we went throughout the audit process, we did not have any difficulties. So again, that lets you know your financial records are being well maintained. The next two bullet points are relating to audit adjustments, because auditing standards want us to talk about if we as auditors have to make lots of adjustments. And the fact is we did not have a single adjustment as we went throughout the audit process. So during the audit, we did not note any changes to any numbers that needed to be recorded. Again, the importance of this communication is to let the council know how is your infrastructure, how is your accounting records being maintained so that the council can feel confident when you get those financial reports? And the answer is yes, you can feel confident. We did not have any changes. We did not have any adjustments to your records. The next thing is Josie talked about the financial statement. I think each of you have a copy of the ACFR. That ACFR includes a lot of report and a lot of information that technically is not required by the state of New Mexico and is not required by governmental auditing standards that we have to follow as your auditors. The city goes above and beyond the requirements, and they have a lot of additional information. There's a lot of statistical information. There's a lot of good data for your readers of the financial statements, your citizens, to get information that they wouldn't get in most audits in our state. As you can see here, the city takes that financial statement, your ACFR, submits it to this national organization, and you actually receive an award meeting their higher standards than above what regular auditing standards and regular governmental standards require. The city has received that award for 20 years. You're only one of 19 governments in 2023 that actually received that award. And there's over 700 governments in the state of New Mexico. So it's not something that everybody stands up and does and takes the extra time, and it's something that the city should be proud of. You go above and beyond what you're required. You're one of only 4 municipalities to receive this award in the state of New Mexico. The next slide is a continuation. That particular organization, again, it's a national organization that has 2 other types of awards that they give out. The city receives all 3 awards, and you are one of only 3 in the state of New Mexico in 2023 to receive that. So again, it's going above and beyond. Your budgetary process is receiving an award, your audit's receiving an award, and then you issue what we call a PAFR, which is a smaller set of financial statements. It's supposed to be easier for your citizens to read to get an understanding of how the city is doing. And so again, you are not required to do any of these, and the city goes above and beyond. You're only one of 3 in the entire state that gets this Triple Crown Award. And again, it is very prestigious and something that you should be proud of. This year, when we went through the audit process, again, I mentioned how we have to follow those the Yellow Book standards. We did not have any findings. They went back through the records, because the state auditor does not have all your audits, but they do have them for the last 15 years. And it was determined in the last 15 years, this is the first time that the city has gone through the audit process and not had a single finding. So you're gonna have findings from year to year, and that's fine. What you wanna see as a council is how are we responding to those findings? Are we learning and getting better? That's really the whole purpose in an audit. And as you can see here, you had 2 findings last year, both were resolved. And I think findings, since I've been your auditor, have not stayed around for a long time. They get resolved and they've been addressed. This year, when we went through the process, again, I think the city should be pretty proud of the fact that you did not have any findings at all. When we do a single audit, when we do that Yellow Book audit, we actually have to look at a lot of transactions. Both of those standards require that we pick a lot of samples. So we looked at a lot of different transactions in completing the city's audit, and we did not have any exceptions as we went through the audit process. The last few slides are just going to be some highlights, some graphs over the financial statements. This first set of graphs relate to what we call government-wide statements. There's only 4 pages in your audit report that are on this methodology of accounting. This is mostly for profit businesses that you see full accrual accounting. And so in those financial statements, we see long-term assets, things like buildings show up as assets. You have long-term liabilities, your loans, notes. Those are all included in those 4 pages. In your governmental activities, you have the general fund, you have 31 special revenue funds, you have 1 debt service fund and 21 capital project funds. So there's a lot of funds that get pushed into 1 column in this particular set of financial statements. At the end of the year, the city ended up with $1,325 million in assets. You had $622 million of liabilities, and you have $703 million of net position or equity on this particular basis of accounting. You know, the amounts were fairly consistent throughout the years. There was a little bit of increase in assets and liabilities, but also your net position or your equity on this level of accounting did increase by about $40 million. The next set of statements that we're going to go over are typically what you see governmental reports or governmental financial statements on modified accrual accounting. What this is, I like to call it like checkbook accounting. If I'm going to get the money close enough after year end into my checkbook and I can spend it, we're going to show it as an asset. Things like property taxes that are collected within 60 days, GRT taxes that are collected within 60 days, those are shown as assets in these particular financial statements. We don't show long-term debt. We don't show the amount of debt, the notes that you have as liabilities in these sets of financial statements. What happens is we make those debt payments, we show as an expense because that's how you budget for it. And so in these statements, those type of transactions are showed up as expenses. So a little bit different accounting than what we just went through. At the end of the year, and the reason I do the general fund is because really this is the operational fund of the city. You ended up with $87 million compared to $90 million in the prior year. You had 12 million in liabilities and 75 million in that equity, or what we call fund balance in this particular financial statement. So fairly consistent between the 2 years. Your general fund assets are mostly comprised of cash and investments. There's 52 million there. Receivables, you know, the property taxes, your GRT taxes, those type of things. Grants that you have not been reimbursed for, that's 31 million. And those are the lion's share of the assets in the general fund. Your liabilities in the general fund are about $12 million with accounts payables. So you incurred a service before year end, but it wasn't paid until after year end. So again, it's coming out of your checkbook close enough to year end that we show it as a liability. We have accrued liabilities, things like compensated absences, your vacation time, payroll that goes from 1 year to the next, those type of things was 3.6 million. And then we have deferred leases, which was 1.7 million. That is a new standard that we had to do 2 years ago. We do have assets, but then it's reflected here with a liability, and pretty much those kind of offset each other. But it is an accounting standard that had to be implemented 2 years ago. The general fund, as far as the revenue, you'll see we had a little bit of a flip this year. We had revenues of about $174 million. We had expenses of $179 million. That 179 also includes transfers. And the transfers did increase this year by, I think it was like about $18 million. And that's really the reason for the increase in expenses. So we have to match grants. So we transfer money from the general fund to the funds that those grant funds are going through. Those are types of transactions that we see those transfers going from the general fund to other funds. The last few slides are relating to your enterprise funds, where you have all of your business type activities, your utilities. I think it's most commonly referred to at the city. All 7 of those are put together. Again, this is on full accrual, where we do show long-term assets and we do show long-term liabilities in these particular set of financial statements. As you can see here, the enterprise funds ended up the year with $422 million in assets, $158 million of liabilities, and $264 million of net position. Again, that's the equity that is in that particular fund. You know, your fund stayed fairly consistent between the 2 years, and there were no really significant changes. When it comes to the enterprise funds, the revenues were down. There was a big increase last year, and if I remember correctly, I think that was from you know, the price in gas that happened in 2023. It went significantly up, so the revenues that we charged also went up. It came back down last year to be kind of consistent with how it had been in the past. Your expenses did decrease again for the cost of gas, mostly. That occurred in 2023 with those high prices. They came back down, and so again, your expenses kind of came down to what they had been in the past. As far as the presentation, that's all I have, and I will open up, Mayor, to any questions that anybody might have.
All right, well, thank you. Any questions from council?
Adjournment. Overweight.
No, Mr. Butler, please. No, I think we're good. Oh, did you, Councilor Matisse?
Not really a question. I just wanted to say congratulations to the staff. Thank you for the trifecta. Quite an achievement. I believe you said 3 in the state of New Mexico?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor. And I also want to say congratulations to the accounting team, Josie, everybody, for all the work you do. Thank you. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-085. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is item 7.2, resolution number 25-086, A resolution to award a professional service agreement for hydrant maintenance and inspection services.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second, Corin.
Good afternoon, Mayor, councilors. My name is Virginia Varela, and before you today is a resolution to award a professional service agreement for hydrant maintenance and inspection. The City of Las Cruces Fire Department requires annual maintenance and inspection services of hydrants that are in compliance with the American Water Works Association guidelines. Regulatory maintenance and inspection of fire hydrants is needed to ensure that hydrants are functioning correctly, to ensure the protection of property and safeguarding of lives. An annual inspection program for hydrants will award the Las Cruces Fire Department points towards its insurance service office rating, which measures how well a community's fire department can protect it from fire. It is also used to help set insurance rates for homeowners. And additionally, it helps fire departments plan and budget for equipment, training, and facilities, and it helps the community understand the risk associated with properties. Requests for proposals were initiated on September 23rd, 2024. One bid was received by Hydromax USA LLC of Flower Mound, Texas. The bid was reviewed and evaluated, and Hydromax LLC demonstrates their ability to meet the city's needs for hydrant maintenance and inspection. Las Cruces Fire Department is requesting authorization to contract with Hydromax USA LLC for hydrants, maintenance, and inspection in an amount not to exceed $255,250 plus applicable taxes for a term of 5 years, subject to approved budget appropriations. Before you are your options, and I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Virginia. Any questions from council? None. Well, at this time, I do. I would like to, I know the importance of the ISO, and I also know that this is Chief Smith's last city council prior to his retirement, and I'd like him to come up and say a few words and also share with us the information of the ISO rating and the importance to our community.
It's my last time raising this podium up. Well, good afternoon, Mayor, members of City Council, Fire Chief Jason Smith, for the record. First, just want to start off by thanking our staff, Deputy Chief Sean Heck, as well as our Fire Marshal who's seated behind me, Michael Landavazo, and of course our Water Utility Assistant Director, Deputy Director Ron, for working on this contract. It took a couple of years for us to go through and get the funding and get out to RFP and actually go through negotiations, which really got to credit the team for, because the original price that was responded to was something that was outside of our financial ability to award. So they worked hard on getting this contract to something we could bring forward to you. On talking about fire hydrants, I think it's important to kind of talk a little bit about the history in the fire service. We've got a nice nickname for hydrants. They're called plugs, right? So back in the old days when it was just a water line, you'd actually have a plug that was in the water line that you'd have to remove, and that's where you stick your Dalmatian to make sure nobody else touches your water source. And so they're called plugs. Unfortunately, over the last few years, we've had plugs that have gone dry or have not been maintained in the city that impact our fire operations during those times. Our fire engines carry 500 gallons of water. And when we flow an attack line, that's about 3 minutes worth of water. So if your plug is dry, that's not a good thing. You want your water hydrant, your water system to be secure, to have a good supply so you can get that. Nobody wants a plug that's ugly when you get on scene. When talking about the Insurance Services Office in our public protection classification, we are an ISO 1X, which means we're a class 1. It's the highest rating you can receive. The X means that anywhere outside of 1,000 feet, our rating or our ability to fight fires is impacted negatively. That's the 1X. And there are parts of the city that are outside of that 1,000-foot range for a fire hydrant. The ISO rating is 50% based on your fire department. That's our staffing levels, having 4-person crews, completing all of our training annually, making sure that we respond timely, that we put an effective force on the fire ground within a certain amount of time. It's also 40% on our water utility. And I will say that our water utility, for most of our evaluations, scores almost perfectly. This is the one area where we've been lacking the last inspection. There's 4 total points, roughly 4, that you can get on an ISO inspection, all related to the maintenance and the inspection of your fire hydrants. So this RFP and awarding this contract will address it, and we do expect an ISO evaluation probably within the next year. So outside of that, that's kind of bringing you guys up to speed on our fire hydrants. I don't want to go too far off base because Christine will probably yell at me for not sticking to the agenda, but I'm fine. Okay. I do want to say that it's been an honor to serve our city as fire chief, and I'm not going to look at Mayor Pro Tem, so this way neither one of us gets teary-eyed. But thank you for your, yes, you too, Graham. Now I can't look anywhere. I'll just look at Brad. Brad, thank you. Sorry for disappointing you about my mustache. I did give it a good try twice. I failed, but that's okay, because failure doesn't make you someone who fails all the time, right? Just someone who can't grow a mustache. But honestly, thank you. Thanks to our personnel, our firefighters, the rest of city staff. It's truly been an honor for 22 years to serve our city. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief Smith. Thank you very much. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-086. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is item 7.3, resolution number 25-087, a resolution amending the FY 2025 to 2030 capital improvements program.
Move to approve, Graham. Second, Corin.
Okay, Cynthia?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. My name is Cynthia Lamillo, CIP Manager with Planning and Implementation. I'm here to show a CIP amendment. The Las Cruces Airport received a grant for $262,000 to support infrastructure and utilities improvements. At the January 6th council meeting, council approved the acceptance of the grant, and this amendment is to reflect the recently accepted grant in the capital improvements program document. So this is how we are amending the CIP document, and with that, I do have your council options.
Thank you, Cynthia. Any questions, Council? No. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-087. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse is absent. Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is item 7.4, resolution number 25-088, a resolution approving the La Buena Vida Park Public Art Project.
Move to approve, Graham. Second, Corin.
Good afternoon. Hello, Mayor and council members. My name is Ceci Vasconcelos, and I am presenting the City Art Board's recommendation for public art in La Buena Vida Park this afternoon. Put this here. So Buena Vida Park is located at 3000 Buena Vida Circle. If you're driving east on University from Talshore, you would turn on the first left to reach the park. The park features walking trails in a natural desert environment. It attracts birds and butterflies and other wildlife. The green marker on this overhead map is a covered picnic area, and the proposed art would go in this spot here. And this is the street view there. The Buena Vida Park Public Art Call for Artists was limited to local and regional artists who live within a 150-mile radius of Las Cruces. We wanted this to be an opportunity for artists in the southwest region of the state. The call was posted in October, and once it closed, 7 artists were invited to present in person to the selection committee. 6 artists accepted, 1 declined due to being out of town. The presentations were held in City Hall in a public meeting forum. Selection committee members were landscape architect from the Parks and Recreation Department, Kathy Matthews, City Art Board members Chantel Yazzie Martin, Dr. Adam Amador, and Shadi El-Khoury, and community member Karen Heiner. Shadi El-Khoury was unable to attend due to other commitments. Staff and members of the public were also present to give input, and the presentations are always open to the public. The dates were posted in print media, by news release, and social media. The project criteria for the park is 1, artwork is site-specific to La Buena Vida Park. 2, creates a work that is large enough in scale and scope to provide a focal point for the area. 3, reflects the environment and/or purpose of the park. And 4, adds visual interest and beauty. We were presented with 6 very different proposals, and they were all very excellent in their own way. But the selection committee felt the design by Kayla Blundell fit the criteria and location best. Her design is called Desert Kinship. It is inspired by the natural beauty of the Chihuahuan Desert, the native flora and haven for wildlife, and life in harmony with nature. Kayla lives in Las Cruces, and she is actually here today, right here. And she is currently a fine arts student at NMSU and graduated in May. And she served on the City Art Board for about a year. This will be one of her first projects of this scale, and the City Art Board is proud to support an emerging artist from Las Cruces, as we are. This is the artist's rendering of the design as it might look in the park. The 4-piece sculpture is set at this angle. So, if you're going into the park, you will approach it on this side. So, so the viewer sees the stylized cactus from the street side, and the male and female shapes show the scale of the pieces. In this rendering, the viewer sees the other side of the sculpture, which is a stylized flock of quail. The largest piece measures 6 feet in height and 5.2 feet in width. The smallest is 2.25 feet tall and 2.5 feet wide. This overhead shot of the site shows how the sculpture will be placed. This is the picnic area here, and the street, of course, is here, and the trail is going back on this backside. So this area here shows you how the sculptures will greet people as they come into the park on this side. Anything else? No. The sculpture is made of mild steel sheets with a dark patina. I have samples up here if you'd like to see them. The sculpture is very low maintenance, basically power washing as needed. The selection committee only had one modification suggestion. They would like to see some color incorporated into the sculpture if possible. That is my presentation, and these are your options. I will stand for questions.
Thank you, Sensor. Any question? Councilor Graham?
Thanks. Not a question, just a congratulations. This is really beautiful work. I'd invite you to come up and say a few words if you'd like, but I also know that that can sometimes feel like a sentence. So feel free either. Yes, please.
Oh, and I apologize. I neglected to introduce our co-chair of the City Art Board, Melanie Brown.
I just want to say thank you to the selection committee and the City Art Board for approving me to be the artist for this, and I want to thank you for your consideration for this project. I'm looking forward to creating it and enhancing the space in that park. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to note, so I looked at rendering 1 and rendering 2 and didn't realize we got both. And I was like, oh, I really love the cactus, but I also loved the quail. And I'm like, oh, we get both. So, but yeah, and great to have a representative of NMSU Art. My husband has a BFA in ceramics. He's now a firefighter, but you know, that's what happens. So it's true. So thank you so much, and thank you for sharing your gift with the city.
Thank you. Councilor Corinne?
Thank you. I similarly just wanted to share my gratitude for this, and thank you for sharing your gift. It's delightful, and I really wanted the quail too, so I was like worried that they weren't going to make the cut, and now I see that they're there, and the babies. It's awesome. Thank you. I didn't get it either from the writing. I also just want to speak to the durability factor, which I know comes up often in these. Yes, there it is. Whole flock of babies. I know that like the color versus durability, I was really enlightened by the long conversation that we had about what kinds of paint can survive our desert climate and how incredibly difficult it is actually to maintain a lot of the public art spaces. So I just want to speak to the ongoing conversation and struggle that we have as, I would argue, you know, climate is changing in ways that makes this even harder. And so I just want to name that tension and also really appreciate that you found a way to create a beautiful sculpture that is also really durable and represents baby quail. So thank you so much for being here and for submitting, and to the committee for deliberating.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all. And yes,
And
go ahead.
And if I may say, before I leave, thank you so much, Chief Smith, for always supporting public art at the fire stations. And I hope you will come back to see the final result of all these projects that we've been working on. So thank you.
Thank you, Sassy. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-088. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores is absent. Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Next is item 7.5, Resolution number 25-089, a resolution approving a vacation plat known as the Peachtree Hills Road.
Move to approve.
Second, Graham.
Adam?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. Adam Ochoa, Community Development for the record. Before you have a vacation plat that is entitled Peachtree Hills Road Right-of-Way Vacation Plat. This is basically vacating a portion what is of the existing Peachtree Hills Road and an unnamed road and various easements in the area of the city of Las Cruces. This is located way up north up there in the Metro Verde area, essentially east of what is the Las Cruces city limits and west of the Sonoma Ranch Boulevard area. It is within the Metro Verde PUD area, really close to what is the golf course area that is up there. The total vacation plat itself encompasses 1.938 acres in size, and it is currently made up of just vacant, undeveloped portions of several tracts of land that were dedicated to the city in the past with the previous subdivision, which was Isaac's subdivision back in 2002, so just a couple of years ago. Here is that aerial map. As you can see, kind of a no man's land right now, but it is definitely master plan, and there is a planned unit development to be developed out there. Runs from north to south here, right on the actual city limit line itself, and then runs east here, which is where that unnamed road is, into what would be the Peachtree Hills. Which Peachtree Hills now kind of does one of this. It kind of loops up into that area. Here is that actual vacation plat itself, again mimicking kind of what I showed, coming from north down to the south, right on the city limits, which is something you really don't want, because a roadway right on the city limits, that kind of becomes a maintenance issue sometimes as well, when a road's right next to the county and the city, just making sure that it's better aligned not only with what our needs are, but what the actual development is going to happen in the future as well. So when staff did their analysis, we did see no life safety welfare issues identified with this. Vacation process is required by the subdivision code and requires approval by city council via resolution before the mayor can sign the actual Mylars themselves. This will align the road network with the Metro Verde PUD, especially that north-south road. It'll actually be skewed to the west to allow for more development against the actual city limits. It will follow the approved roadway width design of the Metro Verde PUD as well. This will also benefit the city by eliminating all maintenance and liability issues related with an unimproved just land that we own out there in that right-of-way area. So reviews were sent out to all relevant agencies within the city. All did support the proposed vacation plat. Notice was also sent out to all surrounding property owners per the City of Las Cruces subdivision code. There is an update on that. Staff did actually receive 3 phone calls from adjacent property owners just asking, what is this about? Left them voicemails, nobody called me back, so I'm guessing they got their questions answered. This vacation plat was required to go before the Development Review Committee. The DRC reviewed subdivisions from an infrastructure, utilities, and improvement standpoint. On November 6, 2024, meeting did occur, and after some minor discussion, DRC unanimously voted to recommend approval for the proposed vacation plat. Without your options, 1 to vote yes and approve the proposed vacation plat, 2 to vote no and deny it, 3 to amend, or 4 table and postpone, direct staff accordingly. That is the conclusion of my presentation. I stand for questions.
Thank you, Adam. Any questions? Corinne?
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. This was my first vacation plat in my time on city council and reading the notes, so I was excited to learn something new, finding out that it wasn't about vacation at all. So I appreciate the information that you all provided, but I do think, I suspect and I haven't heard from any residents, this is my district, about this specific thing, but I suspect what folks are wondering is, does this mean that a road is imminently being built in this area? I suspect is sort of what folks wonder what this means in that context, and I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what this means in terms of that. I know that it's on the plan, but I'm curious if it means next step in a development process or if they're totally unrelated by time.
Mayor, Councilor Coran, that's essentially it. This is the first step, if you will, to clean up that area for future development. We recently just took a final site plan, kind of takes this area into account when it comes to development of the roadways. Voyager Street out there eventually will be coming through this area, so this right-of-way is kind of getting in its way, if you will. So this will clean it up to allow for Voyager to come through, another road that'll go east to west, that'll intersect with Peachtree Hills, and it'll eliminate that area that was designated as Peachtree Hills because Peachtree Hills has been realigned. So it's really the first step of cleanup, and that's how I kind of explained it to people out there. Additionally, on top of that, typical city right-of-way is 50 feet in width. In the Metro Verde area, they actually have differentiating widths and design. So since this roadway, which is a local roadway, will be narrower, they don't need all that right away, so that can be taken into the adjacent tracks for future development as well, ma'am.
Thank you. That helps provide a lot of context. So
Sure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate all your help all the time, Adam.
Sure.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-089. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse is absent. Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores is absent. Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Adam. Next, board appointments, there are none. Notice of proposed ordinances, none. We'll move to city council member board reports and comments. I'll start with Councilor McClure.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank everybody again for coming out and speaking. There are a lot of empty chairs here today, but I'm hoping that they watch later and know that their voices are being heard. I wanted to say, what a day yesterday. I heard and saw things that disturbed me, but unfortunately didn't surprise me. Even with my privilege, we had hard conversations at my house. And I know that those conversations are happening here in Las Cruces and throughout the country right now. We're gonna have hard conversations here at City Council too. And I just wanna let you know that going forward, to those who are afraid, I see you, I hear you, and I'm with you. Our Cariño here isn't just empty, it means something, and it means that everyone is welcome here. And it's our job to hold the line against hate. So, and taking a hard detour into another conversation. So last week, I was lucky enough to meet with the governor, and that was a kind of a wild culmination of a bunch of just trying to talk to legislators and having the time to kind of hash out what our priorities were as a city, seeing where they were going. Interestingly enough, some of them got a little philosophical. Thank you, Nathan Small and Sarah Silva, for getting a little philosophical with me. And Jeff Steinborn and Joan Ferrari had some good conversations about what public safety might look like as well. I caught Joe Cervantes at a corner bakery, and I thanked him too for hopefully considering what we might need down here as well. With the governor, it was kind of a surreal moment. Everybody in the room stood and kept standing. I was there with Councilor Graham, and it was weird, and we're like, oh, okay, I guess we're not sitting, so this is going to be really quick. So my ask was what we already have on our legislative priorities was the library. Please consider what that looks like here. And thankfully, she was really stoked about that, which, whoa, yeah, me too. As you guys have heard on the dais a couple times from me, that is kind of my jam as well. And she talked about how not only is it a safe space, and I think we need safe spaces now, it's a place for workforce development. And she also strangely talked about the Dalai Lama and how the way to experience the world is through books. And I would say also the way to experience the world is to hear what people have to say, and I'm glad for people coming today. So I'm hoping that there's ways for us to support public safety in the ways that she expressed briefly in our meeting, and if we can also support things like alcohol harm, I think that's a great idea as well. I heard that earlier. I do ask that we do get an update on our active transportation. I saw that it's no longer published. I didn't know that either. That would be good to know. And MMC as well. I think that is, we are trying to actively follow it, and I can't without getting a bit of a report on that. That's probably the longest I've ever spoken, so I'm just going to hand that off to people who are going to say this in a much nicer way. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McClure. Councilor Grant.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, that was a record word count for you. Oh, I'm proud. I primarily want to focus on saying happy opening day to the New Mexico legislature, to thank our representatives, personnel, staff, now that they actually get to have some, and everyone up there who is representing us and supporting us. And I'm not going to be as eloquent as I feel like you set me up to be, but the message that feels the most important to me in a philosophical sense right now, and I say this not as an elected official, but as a constituent, is to please try to find spaces for compromise, for balance, for talking to folks that you maybe wouldn't have considered talking to before, because I think if you look at the range of issues and challenges and opportunities that our state is facing, if there were only one answer, everybody would already be doing it. And I think the most, again, what I beseech you as a constituent, representatives, is please be willing to consider multiple paths, multiple voices, and to just find some space around the table to perhaps not agree with one another, but to understand one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Corinne.
Thanks. I have a couple of quick follow-ups, and then, as you said, a hard detour. That's how these go, I guess. First, I'm just going to start with something. It's not directly related to City Council, but it is related to something that's come up. The physicians that have been organizing around healthcare in Las Cruces, legislative asks, other conditions related to healthcare in Las Cruces, we'll be having a town hall here in City Council chambers at 10 a.m. on Saturday. So folks who are particularly interested in that, this I think is focused on, I haven't gotten the flyer yet, but I think this is focused on providers and supporting providers in the community because it's organized by providers. So that will be happening this Saturday at 10 a.m. And then the other announcement that I have, we heard about the Mesilla Valley Public Housing Authority Executive Director position. But there's also space for a board member, and if you go through the city's board and commission's website, you can actually apply to be a potential board member at MVPHA. The city has a designated board member space, which is open now, so that's seeking applicants through the city's board and commission website, which you can find lots of opportunities for contributing on that website. So those are two specific sort of announcements that I just wanted to highlight. And then going back to the sort of philosophical question of where we are and what we're doing, I think it was really powerful to attend a lot of MLK events this weekend, to hear folks thinking about what operationalizing those ideas means and what does that look like. And so I take that very seriously to heart and did a significant amount of reading this weekend to learn more about how I can live the sort of ethos of MLK, who, it's been really interesting to see conversations about how about 60% of people in the United States when he was doing his activism absolutely hated him. And so that was sort of a reassuring feeling to think about how we perceive things and where people are willing to come from to talk about justice. So today is really heavy. I think we're all feeling it and feeling what's happening at a federal level. What the legislature opening up, it feels dissonant because it's like all of this work is happening in one space, all of this other work is happening in another. Where can we be constructive? Where can we lend our support to that? And I just want to say, I'm committing to this, and I know my colleagues are committed to really thinking about Las Cruces being a safe and thriving place for all. So at a local level, what can we do? We will be advocating for infrastructure that serves our city, including cyclists and pedestrians, and I think there's an exciting announcement I think will come in a little bit related to some of that effort, supporting innovations in housing and homelessness support, funding partnerships, everything we can do to address our housing shortage, as city staff have been really leaders in for a long time, advocating for healthcare and community safety, both here and at the Roundhouse, however those things shape up. And I would add to this sort of the conversation about alcohol harms. We are getting all kinds of sort of requests to support certain types of legislation, and I think as we consider those, I think we're all here to lend our support wherever we can to the things that are going into the legislature that are really important. So I think talking about alcohol harms is one of those domains. And thinking about our own environmental health impacts, including electrification and clean water. And so one item that I just wanted to share, I serve on the Transit Advisory Board, and last week we heard a really cool report, and I did the math, but I have lost the math since then, so I'll just give a quick update about what electrification has meant to the city, not only in terms of our environmental impact, but just to give you a quick summary. And these numbers I heard at a meeting, so I just want to contextualize them as such. But, oh wait, sorry. It's taken me a minute to find where I wrote them down. I'm going to go for a new record of lengthy comments. Sorry in advance to everyone. Okay, So just as a quick note, in Las Cruces, we currently have 5 electric buses and 13 diesel buses. For just the month of December, our bill for fuel was $20,900, and the bill for repairs was about $35,000 on those 13 diesel buses. For the electric buses, the total fuel charge, which is through El Paso Electric, was $1,700, and the total repair and maintenance charges were $135. So I just want to, again, speak to the city's commitment that we have had for a long time to things like environmental health, clean water, even if the federal government is not interested in pursuing those things. Our city is really committed and has been doing really good work on those areas. But I also really want to speak at this moment to articulate the values that I will be striving for in addition, and in particular trans folks. I just want to speak to the solidarity of knowing and loving you, trans folks in our community. Las Cruces, your existence and identity, as well as your extraordinary contributions to the city, which I know are ongoing, will be respected and valued, as will your identity. And then immigrants, refugees, asylees, families of each of those folks who are now affected. New Mexico just joined in the federal lawsuit to address the challenges to the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. We're one of 18 states that's challenging that proposed executive order. You are our siblings. We don't have to have a family member or a loved one or a person who we see as working for us that is an immigrant or a refugee or an asylee or a family member of them. It is a basic human quality that we care about you, and it's part of what we do here at the city, and we owe you a fight for your rights and belonging. You contribute enormously to our community in an extraordinarily large number of ways, and your existence among us is worth fighting for on every front, and I'm committing to join my colleagues in doing that in every way that we possibly can. So that's it.
Thank you, Councilor. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. I just first want to say to Chief Smith, thank you. You're just as much as a chillon as I am, in my opinion, and I see you, and I love that about you, and you will be deeply missed. And so thank you for all of your work for the city and for your friendship and for being such a kind and graceful colleague. Thank you. Mayor, I don't know, I want to take up the request that the Mesilla Valley Public Housing Authority placed here today about participating in those interviews. I would love to volunteer for that. I don't know what kind of process we need to do for that, but having worked with the Housing Authority and some of the challenges, I would really love to participate in those interviews. Unless you want to, then you can do that. But if not, I want to volunteer. And then I don't have many other updates, but I did just want to speak to some of what was said here today. First, I want to thank then an AACP for the honor of speaking at their events this weekend. On Sunday, I spoke a little bit about I shared a little bit about my story and the sinister choice that was in front of my parents after NAFTA passed, whether they were going to stay in Mexico and work for an American company, pennies on the dollar, or come to the United States as immigrants. And what I wish I would have added, what I wish I would have said also, is that it is not lost on me that there are people in Las Cruces, our neighbors, our constituents, who today, every day, face just as sinister choices in their daily lives about how to pay for rent, how to pay for food, how to pay for childcare, how to keep their businesses open. Whatever it might be, our people are facing sinister choices every single day, and that should be our mission moving forward, eradicating those sinister choices for our people and replacing them with opportunity and a chance to live in abundance and enjoy. That is our mission. We should not get distracted by hateful rhetoric and attempts to pin us against one another. In Las Cruces, we should fight to to live out our vision for our community. Because frankly, attempting to live in the imagination of those who want to blame vulnerable communities for political gain feels exhausting. Living in the imagination of people who want to scapegoat immigrants feels exhausting. Living in the imagination of people who want to systemically harass trans and gay people, who want to police our bodies and deny climate change and cater to the ultra wealthy, that to me feels miserable. Hate, deny, erase. That is a miserable imagination, and I do not want to live into it. In Las Cruces and in New Mexico, we get to choose our own fate still. We still get to have choices. We still get to be the architects of our own vision for our own community. So let's fight to keep our community a welcoming community. I will do that. Trust that I will not be shamed or scared into submission. And honestly, I hope to my colleagues that you aren't either. I also hope that you choose to love our people even harder in the face of what is to come the next few years. Because I know very well that working to push people further into the margins does nothing to better my own life. And I will resist to live in that kind of imagination. And lastly, I want to make something very clear. Las Cruces is a welcoming city by resolution. The city of Las Cruces reaffirms and continues to abide by its inclusive and non-discrimination policies towards residents, irrespective of immigration status and citizenship. There is no plan to change this, and if there is, I will fight back against it, and if anything, I will work to strengthen this welcoming city resolution. I just want to say this in Spanish. Y por último, quiero dejar algo clarísimo. Las Cruces es una ciudad de bienvenida y de cariño por resolución. La ciudad de Las Cruces reafirma y continúa cumpliendo con sus políticas inclusivas y de no discriminación a nuestros residentes, independientemente de su estatus migratorio y ciudadanía. No hay plan para cambiar esto, y si lo hay, es solo para fortalecer esta política. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. The first thing I just want to address, what we have before us is a resolution with alcohol arms, and what we would like at this time is to see if there's a consensus to move it forward. Yes, I think so, Christine, so that answers that. And then just to add that now with legislation starting today, we will see more resolutions coming forward, whether it's in public safety and those things that we'll address here in council, and others that come up with it maybe for immigration and support of asylum refugees and relationships with Mexico and things of that nature. We started out this meeting today with a great presentation, I believe, on building a partnership with our Las Cruces Public Schools in Thrive with Cariño. And we believe that we are a city of Cariño. We are a welcoming city, so we will continue to work with whatever we need to do and whatever resolutions we need to continue the support and means to help those individuals here and work for our residents here in Las Cruces, for everyone. Some good news I wanted to share is Congressman Gabe Vasquez, through his office, awarded us $61 million for road infrastructure, the High Mesa Grande Highway to come from Mesa Grande to connect with Loman. This creates a lot of opportunity for housing, for development, for culture, for growth in our community. And we want to thank Congressman Vasquez for that award, and we look forward to all the opportunities that it brings forward. Another good news is we had the balloon rally back in Las Cruces this past weekend, and just want to thank Visit Las Cruces for their work in bringing that back and creating events here in Las Cruces during that time. And then finally to Chief Smith, I just want to say congratulations to your retirement. It was an honor, it was a privilege to serve with you. I know when you first came into the department, even going through your academy, we all looked at you and said, that's going to be the future chief of Las Cruces. So you fulfilled your oath, and you fulfilled all our expectations. We're very proud of you. Thank you. Our conversations that we had working together was, we not only moved the nozzle forward, we moved the department forward. Thank you for continuing to do that throughout your career. And may God bless you. Wish you all the best. With that, I'll turn it over to the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo City Council, Ikani Tamopeao, City Manager. And just wanted to start off responding to public comments. I appreciate Yoli Diaz coming in and speaking on MMC. I do appreciate the patience of council and appreciate the patience of public on this MMC, and I appreciate Yoli keeping us accountable in reference to this weekend with MLK and Martin Luther King Jr. In observation of his birthday. We do appreciate one quote that comes to mind is "Love your enemies, but keep them accountable," and I do appreciate that. So I just wanted to let everyone know there are things that City Attorney and myself have been working with the county on, and we've been in discussions. There's things that we haven't quite kept council with apprised as we're still working on, but these are things that we plan to have better updates in 2025 to you all as council. So I appreciate your patience, but again, as we know, accountability is huge for us, and I plan to have updates to you soon. But there are some updates that I would love to update everybody at this time. The City of Las Cruces has retained its own consultant in addition to our legal counsel, in addition to Brad. So Brad isn't the only attorney working on MMC. We have legal counsel. In addition to legal counsel, we have retained our own consultant in regards to ongoing matters with MMC. This consultant is experienced in the areas of Medicaid, Medicare, and the Affordable Care Act, and the safety net pool requirements. This consultant has extensive experience through the New Mexico Department of Health and will be assisting the city throughout the process of working through both the lease agreement and the asset purchase agreement. Again, just wanted to share, we plan to have updates to you in the upcoming months, and we hope to, again, be responsive to the accountability that is needed in all our positions, and especially with the lease and asset purchase agreement, which was made in the early 2000s. So please know that. Second, public comment regarding lease and pipe updates. Appreciate Lynn in the public comment. I do want to make something clear, so I'll just share some response to this. Staff in joint utilities is working with community engagement staff to schedule a community meeting that will be recorded. There has been a request to hold another council meeting on the work session, which we will not. There will be a time when we will hold a work session, but we will move forward with a community meeting, and that date has not been determined yet, but when it is, we will make the announcement. We did offer this idea, but at this time, it will be a community forum. We will host a council meeting when utility finishes their review of our current system and whether or not we have lead pipes. Then we will come back to council to provide an update. The update will also include any steps needed to mitigate any lead pipes. I do want to apologize to the community for not sending out the Spanish version. That is one thing that I'll step in front of, and I apologize for not doing. The letter, the information for lead and copper is on our website. It can be translated to various languages. And so that is something that is not being sent out. But if there are questions about the letter and for it to be translated, it is on our website, and there is a button that can translate that to Spanish. So I just wanted to make that aware of everybody listening. There's also additional information as well on the website. If you Google City of Las Cruces, lead and copper, you can find additional information. In the meeting that we have coming up on a date to be determined, for the community forum, we will have all experts to answer all questions at that time. So thank you for your opportunity and listening in on that. Third and last, public comment regarding active transportation coordinator. Biking community, we appreciate you bringing this up at public comment. It is very important, and I'm sure there are concerns on why it was taken out. The reason why it was taken out is we are reviewing the job description. This posting into the biking community and to staff understands that this has been posted for a while, but we have not had viable candidates that have applied. We have reached out to the biking community to see if they had any contacts that could qualify. And what we have heard is that they did not know anybody interested in the position as well. They said no. We have been trying. This has been posted for, I believe, over a year and a half, if not 2 years. This has been posted for a while, but we did take it off. Again, reviewing with our consultant, helping us to find if we're missing something, whether it's in salaries or a tighter job description that speaks to this position. So I just wanted to share an update on that. Once we have an update, I'll share this to you, council, and we'll reach out to the biking community as well, and I'll share an update here in public comments. Last but not least, Chief Story, we appreciate you. It's been a pleasure. Oh, Chief Smith, I apologize. Thank you. Chief Smith, Chief Smith, you had big shoes to fill. I was on your interview panel at the end, and I can say I stand behind that. You did great fulfilling the shoes that you did, and appreciate you and everything that you and your executive team did moving forward. So we have posted the position, and whoever the new chief is, they're going to have really big shoes to fill as well. So thanks to you. Appreciate you, Chief Smith. Thank you so much. And that is all. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you, City Manager Tamopayao. I think that's it. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Councillor McClure?
Yes.
Councillor Matisse is absent. Councillor Graham?
Yes.
Councillor Cran?
Yes.
Councillor Flores is absent. Councillor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes.